The night Dante Russo's world collapsed, he stood alone in his Manhattan penthouse, staring at the medical file that confirmed his deepest nightmare. 4 years, 4 surgeries. Nothing had worked. Then she walked into his private medical suite at Mount Sinai, a stunning African woman with curves that defied gravity and confidence that shattered his carefully constructed walls, asking the one question nobody else had dared to ask. Can I try? Can I help you? 5 impossible moments would change everything. A touch that awakened what he thought was dead. A jealousy so fierce it nearly consumed him. A night that proved miracles could exist in broken bodies. A betrayal that forced him to choose between his criminal empire and her survival. And a love that refused to die no matter how hard he tried to kill it. The exclusive medical wing of Manhattan's most private hospital existed in perpetual darkness. Dante Russo preferred the shadows. Darkness concealed things that daylight exposed too brutally. Scars, failures, the gaping emptiness where his manhood used to reside before the accident stole it away. He stood before the massive windows overlooking the glittering chaos of New York City, his hands clasped rigidly behind his back, watching the lights pulse like a heartbeat he no longer possessed. Down below, his empire flourished without him. The Russo family dominated the entire Eastern Seaboard's underground operations and controlled the city's most profitable legitimate ventures. Luxury hotels, exclusive nightclubs, pharmaceutical distribution networks, real estate development corporations. He owned everything that mattered in this city, everything except control over his own damaged body. Mr. Russo, Dr. Chen entered the room without bothering to knock first. The privilege belonged to a physician who had witnessed Dante at his most vulnerable and pathetic. The new physical therapist has arrived for your appointment. I didn't request any physical therapist. Your mother made the arrangements. Dante's entire body went rigid with anger. Of course his mother had interfered again. Maria Russo absolutely refused to accept that some injuries couldn't be fixed with money, connections, or sheer force of will. The accident 4 years ago had left him with catastrophic injuries that extended far beyond shattered bones. Permanent nerve damage, surgical complications that multiplied with each procedure, an endless string of failed treatments that left him feeling less than human. Send her away immediately. Actually, it's a him, but there's been a last-minute change in the schedule. Dr. Chen hesitated noticeably. The replacement therapist just arrived moments ago. She's highly unconventional in her approach. I don't care if she's performing actual miracles. Send her away now. The door swung open before Dr. Chen could respond. Dante turned with a cutting dismissal already prepared on his tongue. The words died instantly in his throat. She stood framed in the doorway, like she'd materialized directly from his most forbidden fantasies. An African woman with deep mahogany skin that seemed to radiate its own luminescence, even in the dim hospital lighting. Curves that made his breath catch painfully in his damaged chest. Natural hair styled in intricate braids that framed a face combining fierce strength with devastating softness. But her eyes captured him completely. Dark, intelligent, utterly fearless as they assessed him like a puzzle she intended to solve. Mr. Russo. Her voice carried a rich accent he couldn't quite place, smooth and achingly confident. I'm Dr. Amara Okafor, your new physical therapist. I didn't hire you, Dante said coldly. No. Your mother did that. But I'm standing here now, so we might as well make the most of this opportunity. She walked into his private space as if she owned every inch of it, setting down an expensive leather medical bag with casual confidence. Dr. Chen provided me with your complete medical history. Severe nerve damage resulting from the accident. 4 unsuccessful surgical interventions. Complete loss of sexual function for the past 4 years. Dante's hands clenched into fists so tight his knuckles went white. Get out of my hospital wing immediately. Not quite yet, she replied calmly. She turned to face him with complete directness. I've successfully treated cases remarkably similar to yours in Lagos, Johannesburg, and London. The human body possesses extraordinary healing capacity when we stop fighting against it and start listening to what it needs. You don't know a damn thing about my specific case. I know you've consulted with 17 different specialists across 3 continents. I know you've attempted every conventional treatment protocol available. I know you're standing here alone in the darkness because you've completely given up hope." Her gaze remained absolutely steady. "I also know that nerve regeneration remains entirely possible with the correct therapeutic approach, but it requires something you've forgotten how to give: trust." Something dangerous flickered in Dante's chest, something he'd deliberately buried 4 years ago beneath layers of ice and rage. Hope always hurt worse than despair ever could. "Trust," he repeated mockingly. He moved closer, using his considerable height and physical presence the way he always did, as a weapon designed to intimidate. "You walk uninvited into my private space, presume to understand my body, my life, my complete." He stopped abruptly. The word lodged painfully in his throat. Inadequacy. Dr. Okafor didn't retreat even a single step. If anything, she seemed to lean slightly into his aggressive proximity. "Your fear." "Yes, I understand that intimately as well." The room seemed to contract around them both. Dante realized his breathing had become ragged, harder than the moment warranted. She carried the scent of shea butter mixed with something floral and intoxicating. Her presence somehow filled spaces inside him he'd assumed were permanently dead and empty. "One session," she said quietly but firmly. "If you don't experience any difference whatsoever, I'll walk away and never return, but if there's even the smallest possibility—" She paused deliberately. "Don't you owe it to yourself to at least try?" Later that evening, Dante sat brooding in his home office, nursing expensive whiskey he couldn't even taste properly anymore. His younger brother Marco sprawled carelessly in the leather chair across from him, watching with barely suppressed amusement dancing in his eyes. "So Mother hired you a physical therapist. Don't start with me tonight, Marco. Is she attractive?" Dante's pointed silence provided all the answer Marco needed. Marco burst out laughing with genuine delight. "Oh, this is absolutely perfect. The Ice King finally starts to thaw, and it's for someone our mother personally selected. The irony is beautiful. Nothing is thawing whatsoever. She's merely an employee who won't last the week. An employee you're actively thinking about right now." Marco leaned forward with sudden seriousness, replacing his amusement. "Dante, when's the last time you genuinely thought about any woman? When's the last time you allowed yourself to feel absolutely anything beyond cold rage?" The question landed like a knife between his ribs, sharp and accurate. Dante carefully set down his untouched glass. "I feel plenty of things daily. Rage doesn't count as feeling, brother. Neither does calculated violence and cold manipulation." Marco's expression softened with something resembling compassion. "The accident took a tremendous amount from you, but it didn't take everything that matters. Maybe it's finally time to remember that truth." The following morning, Dr. Amara Okafor arrived at his penthouse at precisely 7:30. Dante's head of security, Vincent, escorted her to the private gym with obvious reluctance and suspicion. "Mr. Russo doesn't appreciate strangers invading his personal space," Vincent warned her seriously. "Then it's fortunate I won't remain a stranger for very long." She found Dante already waiting there, dressed in fitted black athletic clothing that showcased a body sculpted by relentless discipline and controlled violence. Even damaged and broken, he remained absolutely devastating. Tall, powerfully built, moving with the dangerous grace of a predator. "You actually came back," he observed flatly. "I said I would return. People make empty promises constantly. I'm not like most people you know." Amara set down her medical bag with confidence. "We'll begin with fundamental nerve stimulation exercises. I need you to lie down on the treatment table." Dante's dark eyes narrowed dangerously. "I don't take orders from anyone. In this room, during our sessions, you absolutely do, unless you prefer to stay broken and damaged forever." The word hung between them like a thrown gauntlet, sharp and challenging. Slowly, deliberately, Dante moved to the padded table and lay down as instructed. The vulnerability of the position made his skin crawl with discomfort. Amara approached with professional confidence, though he noticed the slight tremor in her hands as she prepared. Good, he thought with dark satisfaction. She should be nervous about touching him. He was an exceptionally dangerous man. "I'm going to start working on your lower back region," she explained carefully. "The nerve pathways that control sexual function originate here in the lumbar spine. We need to systematically wake them up again." Her hands settled firmly on his bare skin. Dante's entire body went absolutely rigid. "Breathe normally," she instructed with calm authority. "I understand it's profoundly uncomfortable, but excessive tension only makes everything significantly worse." She worked in focused silence, her strong fingers finding knots and pressure points with uncanny precision that shocked him. Dante stared fixedly at the ceiling, desperately trying to ignore the unfamiliar warmth slowly spreading through his tense muscles, trying to ignore how long it had been since anyone had touched him with genuine care instead of pity or revulsion. "You carry incredibly dense muscle tissue," Amara murmured thoughtfully. "You hold absolutely everything so tight inside. Do you ever allow yourself to simply let go?" "Never." "Why not?" "Because the precise moment you let go, the world ruthlessly takes everything that matters." Her hand stilled briefly, then continued with renewed gentleness that made his throat tighten. "Or perhaps the moment you finally let go is when you get to genuinely feel everything that makes life worth living." The session lasted exactly 1 hour. When it finally ended, Dante sat up slowly, distinctly disoriented by the strange looseness in his body. It felt like someone had carefully unknotted strings he hadn't even realized were tangled. "Same time tomorrow morning," Amara said efficiently, packing her equipment. "What if absolutely nothing changes long term?" She looked at him then, really looked with those penetrating eyes, and he felt stripped completely bare under her assessing gaze. What if everything changes? That's what truly terrifies you most, isn't it? Several days later, Dante attended a mandatory business dinner at one of his most upscale Manhattan hotels. The usual crowd filled the private dining room: politicians, business partners, men who smiled warmly while actively plotting his eventual downfall. He moved through the tedious evening with practiced ease and cold efficiency, his fearsome reputation doing most of the necessary work. Then he saw her across the crowded room, Amara, seated alone at the elegant bar in a stunning emerald green dress that made his heart forget its damaged rhythm entirely. She appeared to be alone, her attention focused on her phone while nursing what looked like red wine. What was she doing here in his hotel? Dante dismissed his business associate mid-sentence without explanation and crossed the room with singular focus. He moved through the crowd like a blade cutting through water, focused entirely on reaching her. "Dr. Okafor." She glanced up, genuine surprise flickering across her beautiful face, before settling into something more carefully guarded. "Mr. Russo, I didn't expect to encounter you here tonight. I own this hotel and everything in it, of course you do." A slight smile played at her full lips. "I'm meeting an old friend. He's running late as usual." Something dark and violently possessive coiled tight in Dante's chest. "A male friend, yes, a friend. Is that somehow a problem for you?" It shouldn't be whatsoever. She was merely his physical therapist, nothing more significant. The fact that he thought about her obsessively, that her touch haunted his dreams, that he found himself anticipating their sessions with an intensity bordering on dangerous obsession. None of that mattered at all. "No problem whatsoever," he replied with forced evenness. A tall man approached then, handsome in a casual, effortless way that immediately irritated Dante. "Amara, so sorry I'm late. Traffic was absolutely murder." He kissed her cheek with easy familiarity. Dante's vision literally tinted red with rage. "David, this is Dante Russo, one of my current clients." Amara's introduction remained perfectly professional. "Mr. Russo, this is David Chen. We attended medical school together in London." David extended his hand with a friendly smile. "Great to meet you. Amara's told me fascinating things about her work here in New York." Dante shook his hand with precisely calculated pressure, just enough to subtly remind David exactly who he was dealing with. Has she now? Absolutely. She's genuinely the best in her field. David grinned at Amara with obvious affection. "We've been trying to coordinate our schedules for months now. Finally managed to pin her down." Pin her down. The possessive phrase made Dante want to break every bone in David Chen's handsome face. "Enjoy your evening together," Dante said abruptly. He turned and walked away before he did something he'd genuinely regret, like breaking David's jaw, like pulling Amara away from him and making it brutally clear she belonged to him alone. Except she didn't belong to anyone, least of all to him. The next morning, Dante was already waiting when Amara arrived for their scheduled session. She took one long look at his tense face and sighed with obvious recognition. "You're angry about something." "I'm never angry." "You're absolutely terrifying when you lie to me." She set down her bag with deliberate calm. "Let's talk honestly about what's really bothering you." "Nothing is bothering me whatsoever. You saw me with David last night, and you wanted to tear his head off his shoulders." She crossed her arms and met his gaze directly. "Am I wrong?" The brutal directness caught him completely off guard. Most people carefully tiptoed around his volatile moods and barely controlled violence. "You're my physical therapist and nothing more. What you do outside these sessions is completely irrelevant to me." "Then why do you look like you haven't slept at all?" Because he'd spent the entire sleepless night imagining David touching her everywhere, kissing her soft mouth, taking her to bed and giving her everything Dante's broken body couldn't provide. "Your personal life is absolutely none of my concern," he said, with deliberate coldness. "Good. Then this shouldn't bother you either." Amara pulled out her phone, tapped the screen several times, then turned it to show him clearly. "David asked me to dinner next week. I said yes to him." Jealousy hit Dante like an actual physical blow to his damaged body. He crossed the space between them in 3 long strides. He stopped just barely short of touching her, close enough to feel her radiating warmth, close enough to see her pupils dilate with awareness. "Don't," he said quietly, dangerously. "Don't go out with him. Don't live my own life." Her voice held a sharp edge he'd never heard before. "You don't get to decide that for me. I know that." His hands fisted tightly at his sides, the only acceptable outlet for what he was feeling. "But don't ask me to watch you with him." Silence stretched between them, thick and charged with unspoken tension. "Dante." His name on her lips undid something fundamental inside him. "What do you actually want from me?" "Everything." The word burned painfully in his throat. He wanted her hands on him constantly, wanted her voice in his ear, wanted to bury himself so deep inside her that they forgot where one ended and the other began, wanted things his damaged body couldn't possibly give her. "Nothing," he forced out through clenched teeth. "I want absolutely nothing from you." He left before she could call him a liar again. That same afternoon, Dante's mother summoned him to the family estate in the Hamptons. Maria Russo sat in her private sitting room, elegant and sharp as a blade as always. "I heard about the scene at your hotel last night." "There was no scene whatsoever. You stalked your physical therapist like dangerous prey, then nearly threatened her dinner companion." His mother sipped her espresso with precise movements. "Very subtle, Dante." Dante said nothing in response. "She's remarkably good for you," Maria continued with certainty. "I've watched the security footage from your therapy sessions. You're completely different around her. Softer somehow. I'm not soft. No, but you're healing properly for the first time." "And that absolutely terrifies you." She set down her cup with finality. "Do you know why I specifically hired her? Because she's highly qualified. Because she doesn't fear you the way everyone else does. Because she sees you as a man, not as a monster or an untouchable king." His mother's penetrating gaze cut straight through him. "And because you deserve someone who makes you want to be whole again." By the end of that week, Dante had made a firm decision. He would terminate the therapy sessions immediately, distance himself completely, protect them both from the impossible situation brewing dangerously between them. But when Amara arrived that morning, she carried news that changed absolutely everything. "I've been extensively reviewing your complete medical files," she said without any preamble. "Your previous doctors missed something critically important. The nerve damage isn't actually permanent at all. It's severely compressed. With the right surgical procedure, we could restore full function." Dante's heart literally stopped beating. "What did you say?" "There's a brilliant neurosurgeon in Boston. She specializes exclusively in cases exactly like yours. I spoke with her yesterday for over an hour. She's confident she can help you." Amara's excitement was genuinely palpable. "Dante, you could get your entire life back." Hope flooded through him, painful and blindingly bright. "Why?" he asked hoarsely. "Why do you care so much about this?" She moved closer, close enough that he could count each individual eyelash. "Because every person deserves to feel whole and complete. Because watching you suffer daily is killing me slowly." She paused, her voice dropping. "And because when you touch me, even accidentally during sessions, I feel things I absolutely shouldn't feel. And I need to know if you feel them too." The raw confession hung in the charged air between them. Dante reached out slowly, deliberately giving her time to pull away if she wanted. His fingers brushed her soft cheek with reverence. Her skin felt like silk and fire combined. "I feel absolutely everything," he whispered roughly. "That's the entire problem." Her hand covered his, warm and certain. "Then let me help you properly, let me." The door burst open violently. Marco stood there, his face grim and serious. "Dante, we have a serious situation developing. The Castellano family knows about her." His eyes cut sharply to Amara. "They're calling her your weakness." Dante's blood turned to absolute ice. In his dangerous world, weaknesses got innocent people killed. Dante's hand dropped immediately from Amara's face. The warmth between them evaporated instantly as harsh reality crashed back in. "Get her out of here right now," he told Marco. His voice had gone flat and empty, the voice he used immediately before committing violence. "Dante," Amara started firmly. "Now, Marco." Marco moved to escort her out professionally, but Amara stood her ground with stubborn determination. "I'm not leaving until you explain exactly what's happening. The Castellano family controls all the northern territories," Dante said without looking at her. "They've been actively looking for leverage against me for years. Congratulations, Dr. Okafor. You just became it." The words were deliberately designed to cut, to push her away, to save her life. "So what exactly?" Amara's chin lifted defiantly. "You're going to hide me away? Pretend I don't exist? I'm going to keep you alive." Finally, he met her eyes directly. "Do you understand what these people actually do? They don't negotiate peacefully. They don't compromise. They find what matters most and they systematically destroy it. Then maybe you should have thought about that before." She gestured sharply between them. "Before whatever this is, there is no this." The lie tasted like ash in his mouth. "You're my physical therapist, nothing more than that. You're a coward." The accusation hit harder than any physical blow. Dante watched her leave with Marco, trailing protectively behind, and felt something crack dangerously in his chest. Later that evening, Dante sat in his office with his inner circle. Vincent, Marco, and his consigliere Antonio, all men who'd witnessed him at his absolute best and devastating worst. "The Castellano family is testing boundaries aggressively," Antonio reported with concern. "They leaked photos of you and Dr. Okafor at the hotel. Nothing explicitly compromising, but enough to start dangerous rumors. How many people know where she lives?" "Too many," Vincent said grimly. He pulled up surveillance footage on the large screen. "She has an apartment in Brooklyn. Ground floor, single entrance. Absolutely terrible security." Dante's jaw tightened visibly. "Move her immediately." "Where exactly?" Marco asked. "Here, the penthouse. Top floor. My personal security team around the clock." "That will only confirm what the Castellanos already suspect," Antonio said quietly. "I don't care what they suspect. I care that she stays alive." "And when she refuses to cooperate," Marco asked knowingly, "because she absolutely will refuse." Dante stood and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, his city, his kingdom built on blood and calculated cruelty. What was one more act of control in service of protection? Then we don't give her a choice in the matter. The next morning, Amara woke to find Dante standing silently in her apartment. She sat up fast, heart hammering violently in her chest. "How did you get in here? Your locks are pathetically inadequate." He stood by her window, hands in his pockets, looking simultaneously dangerous and exhausted, like he hadn't slept at all. "Pack your belongings. You're moving today. Excuse me. The Castellano family knows precisely where you live. This place is completely indefensible." His tone absolutely brooked no argument. "I have a secure location ready. You'll stay there until this situation is permanently resolved." Amara climbed out of bed, painfully aware she wore only a thin tank top and shorts. His dark gaze tracked the movement, then carefully looked away with visible restraint. "You can't just break into my home and dictate my entire life. I can, and I am doing exactly that." He turned to face her fully. "Do you think this is some kind of game? The Castellanos don't make empty threats. They make brutal examples, and right now you're the easiest way to hurt me. So this is about protecting your pride. This is about keeping you breathing. Frustration cracked through his iron control. "Why can't you just trust me?" "Because trust requires complete honesty." She crossed her arms defensively. "And you've done nothing but lie since Marco interrupted us yesterday." "I didn't lie to you. You said I was nothing to you. That was a lie." Dante's hands clenched into tight fists. "What do you want me to say?" "That I think about you constantly. That your touch is the only thing that makes me feel remotely human. That the thought of anyone hurting you makes me want to burn this entire world." His voice dropped to something raw and vulnerable. Would that change anything? The confession stole her breath completely. "I'm broken, Amara, in ways that actually matter, and you deserve someone whole. Someone like David who can give you everything I can't." She closed the distance between them decisively. "I don't want David. Stop telling me what I should want." Her hand pressed against his chest, feeling his heart racing. "I'm a grown woman. I make my own choices. And I choose." His phone buzzed insistently. Once, twice, the third time he answered with barely controlled rage. Vincent's urgent voice carried through the speaker. "Sir, we have a situation at Dr. Okafor's clinic. Fire department is currently on scene." Amara's face went pale with shock. "What?" Dante was already moving, pulling her toward the door with controlled urgency. "Get dressed immediately. We're leaving now." The clinic where Amara worked part-time was completely engulfed in flames when they arrived. Fire trucks surrounded the building, firefighters battling the intense blaze. Amara jumped from Dante's car before it fully stopped, running toward the scene. Dante caught her around the waist, hauling her back firmly against him. "Don't move. My colleague, Dr. Williams. She was supposed to be there this morning." Amara struggled against his grip. "I need to know if she's okay." A firefighter approached them quickly. The building was completely empty. Someone called in a bomb threat and everyone evacuated before the fire started. Relief and horror warred visibly on Amara's beautiful face. This was deliberate. "A message," Dante said grimly. He looked at Vincent with cold fury. "Tony Castellano was seen in the area an hour ago." Dante's expression went absolutely cold and deadly. "Get her to the penthouse, full security detail. No one in or out without my direct approval." "And you?" Amara asked, already knowing. "I'm going to end this permanently." She grabbed his arm desperately. "Don't do something you'll regret. I regret nothing when it comes to protecting what's mine." The possessive declaration hung between them. "Go with Vincent, please." The pleas undid her resistance completely. Dante arrived at Tony Castellano's office building with 5 men and murder burning in his heart. Tony sat behind his expensive desk, smug and stupid, clearly expecting threats and negotiations. He didn't expect Dante to drag him violently across the desk and slam him against the wall. "The clinic fire," Dante said with deadly quiet. "Your work." Tony laughed, choking on it. "Just a friendly warning. Wanted to see how fast you'd move for her. And now you know." Dante's hand tightened around the other man's throat. "What happens next? You can't kill me. My father would declare total war. I don't need to kill you." Dante leaned close. "I just need to make you wish you were dead." He broke Tony's nose with casual efficiency, then his jaw, left him bleeding on the floor of his own office. "Tell your father this," Dante said, straightening his cuffs. "Touch her again, threaten her again, even look at her wrong, and I'll dismantle your family piece by piece. I'll take your territories, your businesses, your reputation. I'll leave you with nothing but the memory of what you had." He walked out, leaving Tony whimpering. Violence didn't solve everything, but it solved enough. By the time Dante returned to the penthouse, night had fallen over Manhattan. He found Amara standing at the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring at the city lights. She'd changed into clothes Marco had arranged, simple jeans and a sweater that somehow made her look more vulnerable. "Did you kill him?" she asked without turning. "No." "Did you hurt him?" "Yes." She turned then, eyes searching his face. "Do you feel better?" "No." Dante poured himself a drink. "I feel like a monster contaminating something beautiful." "Stop it." Amara crossed to him. "Stop pushing me away with this self-flagellation. I know who you are, what you are, do you?" He laughed bitterly. "I run an empire built on violence and fear. I've killed men, destroyed families. I'm going to hell, Amara, and I'm taking anyone who gets close to me. Then maybe I want to burn. She took the glass from his hand and set it down. Maybe I'm tired of being safe and careful. Maybe I want something real, even if it's terrifying. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. Her hand settled on his chest. I'm saying I see you, all of you, the violence and the tenderness, the control and the chaos. And I'm not running. You should run far away from me. Make me. The challenge hung in the air between them, electric and dangerous. Dante's control fractured completely. He pulled her against him, one hand tangling in her braids, the other spanning her waist. Their foreheads touched, their breath mingled. "So I can't give you what a normal man could," he said hoarsely. "Your body is healing. I can feel it." Her hand pressed over his racing heart. "But even if it never fully heals, do you really think that matters? That I care about your body more than everything else you are? Most women would. I'm not most women." She pulled back enough to meet his eyes. "And you know what? Can I?" The words from their first meeting, a callback, a permission. "Can I test it?" she repeated softly. "Let me show you that you're not as broken as you think." His hands shook from want, from fear, from 4 years of believing himself less than a man. "Not here," he managed. "Not like this. You deserve. I deserve you. However you come." Her lips brushed his jaw. "Trust me." So he did. Hey, if you're still watching this, it means this story is resonating with you. We're building something special here, but we need your help to keep bringing these powerful stories to life. We need to reach 1,000 subscribers to continue. So if you're feeling what Dante and Amara are going through, hit that subscribe button. And here's something different. Comment below with the exact moment you knew Dante was falling for Amara. Was it the hotel scene, the first touch, or something else? Let's talk about it. Dante led Amara to his bedroom, a sanctuary of dark luxury with clean lines and expensive simplicity. He'd never brought a woman here before, never wanted to. This space had been his private prison for 4 long years. Now it became hers too. They undressed each other slowly, with reverence and careful exploration. Every newly revealed inch of skin became a profound discovery. Amara's curves made his hands ache with desperate wanting, the softness of her belly, the fullness of her breasts, the powerful strength in her thighs. "You're staring so intently," she whispered with a soft smile. "I'm memorizing every detail," he replied. "In case this becomes the only time." It won't be the only time. They fell into bed together, a beautiful tangle of limbs and breathless touches. Dante kissed her like a drowning man finally finding air, desperate, consuming, utterly reverent. She tasted like hope and heat and something that felt dangerously like home. His hands mapped every generous curve, learning the exquisite sounds she made. The catch of her breath when he kissed her throat, the deep moan when his fingers found her most sensitive places, the way she arched into him like she could never get close enough. "Dante," she breathed against his mouth. "I need you. Tell me you want all of me." He hesitated, old fears rising like ghosts. "I don't know if I can give you what you deserve." Her hand wrapped around him gently, and his entire world exploded into sensation. Heat, pressure, impossible heightened awareness. 4 years of numbness vanished completely under her skilled touch. "Oh God," he gasped in disbelief. "You can feel everything." Wonder colored her voice beautifully. "The nerve regeneration has worked. Don't stop," he begged her, pride completely abandoned. "Please don't ever stop." She didn't stop. What followed became careful and profoundly intense, years of desperate longing compressed into touches that felt like sacred prayers. Dante moved over her, into her, feeling absolutely everything for the first time. Her welcoming warmth, her exquisite tightness, her complete acceptance of all his broken pieces. They found their perfect rhythm together, slow and deliberate at first, then building towards something utterly devastating. Amara's nails scored his back as pleasure built. His name fell from her lips like a sacred benediction. When she shattered around him completely, he followed instantly. The overwhelming sensation nearly brought tears to his eyes. Afterward they lay tangled together, hearts still racing wildly. "You were never truly broken," Amara whispered against his shoulder. just healing slowly. Dante pulled her closer, something fierce and terrifying settling deeply in his chest. Love. He realized he was completely in love with her, and that realization changed absolutely everything. The next morning, Dante woke to find Amara watching him sleep peacefully. "That's actually kind of creepy," he murmured with a rare smile. "That's romantic." She traced his jaw tenderly. "How do you feel physically? Like I can finally breathe after years of suffocating." He caught her hand and kissed her palm reverently. "Thank you." "For what exactly?" "For never giving up on me when everyone else had." They stayed in bed much longer than they should have, talking softly and touching constantly, existing in a fragile bubble that reality would eventually shatter. It came in the form of Marco's urgent phone call. "Dante, we have a major problem. Tony Castellano's father is demanding an immediate meeting. He wants compensation for your attack on his son." Dante's expression hardened instantly. "Tell him to go straight to hell. He has real leverage now. Photos of you and Amara. Not from the hotel, from yesterday. At her apartment, at the clinic fire scene." Marco paused heavily. "If you don't meet him, he'll release them to every major media outlet. Your relationship becomes public knowledge." Amara sat up quickly. "Would that really be so terrible in my dangerous world?" "Yes, absolutely." Dante climbed from bed, already mentally preparing for war. "It makes you a permanent target, not just for the Castellanos, but for every single enemy I've created over the years. And I've created many. So we hide indefinitely." "No." He turned to face her directly. "We end this threat permanently." Fear flickered across her beautiful face. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means I'm giving Vincent Castellano one final choice: peace or complete destruction." Dante dressed quickly and efficiently, every movement precise. "Stay here in the penthouse. Don't leave for any reason. Don't answer the door for anyone except Vincent or Marco." "Dante." He kissed her hard and desperate. "Trust me. One more time. Trust me completely." The meeting with Vincent Castellano took place in neutral territory. A private room at one of Manhattan's oldest, most exclusive restaurants. Dante arrived with Marco and Antonio. The old man brought his battered son and 3 heavily armed bodyguards. Tony's face remained a mess of bruises and surgical tape. Russo, Vincent Castellano, embodied everything his son wasn't. Intelligent, ruthlessly controlled, genuinely dangerous. "You've made a catastrophic mistake. Your son threatened someone under my protection." I responded appropriately. "Appropriately." The older man laughed coldly. "You nearly killed my only son. If I wanted him dead, he would be permanently." Dante sat with deliberate arrogance. "This becomes your one and only warning. Stay away from Dr. Amara Okafor. Stay away from anyone connected to me, or I end your entire family." Bold words from a vulnerable man. Vincent leaned forward menacingly. "But we both know you've fallen in love, and love makes even kings weak, or it makes them willing to do absolutely anything." Dante's smile turned icy. "I've been secretly building evidence against your operations for years. Trafficking routes, money laundering schemes, political bribes and corruption. Everything your father worked desperately to hide. One phone call sends it all straight to federal prosecutors." The color drained completely from Vincent's face. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Dante slid a thick folder across the polished table. "That's merely a sample. I possess enough to put you away for life. Your son, too. Your entire organization collapses within 1 week." Heavy silence stretched between the powerful men. "What do you actually want?" Vincent finally asked. "Peace. A formal treaty. You stay in your territories. I stay in mine. And Dr. Amara Okafor becomes completely untouchable. Anyone who threatens her answers to both families. That's the deal." Dante stood smoothly. "Or I destroy you utterly. Your choice. You have exactly 24 hours. He left without waiting for any response. Back at the penthouse, Amara paced like a beautiful caged animal. When Dante walked in, she launched herself at him immediately, checking frantically for injuries. "I'm completely fine," he assured her gently. "What happened at the meeting?" "I made him an offer he couldn't possibly refuse." Dante guided her to the couch and pulled her into his lap possessively. "It's over now. You're safe permanently." "Just like that. Just like that." She searched his face carefully. What did it actually cost you? Nothing that truly matters. A lie. It had cost him years of carefully built leverage, future business opportunities, potential alliances, but none mattered compared to keeping her alive. Dante! Her fingers traced his jaw with tender concern. What happens now between us? Now? He kissed her softly, deeply. Now we figure out how to build a normal life together. Do you even know how to live normally? No. His smile appeared genuine, rare and beautiful, but I'm willing to learn everything for you. They sat in comfortable silence, the glittering Manhattan lights twinkling beyond the massive windows. Everything suddenly felt possible. Perfect. But peace never lasted long in Dante's brutal world. It shattered completely 3 days later, when Amara disappeared without warning. Dante knew something was terribly wrong the moment he woke alone. The penthouse felt catastrophically empty, in a way that went beyond her physical absence. He checked his phone frantically. No messages from Amara. He accessed the security feeds immediately. She'd left at dawn completely alone, despite his explicit instructions never to go anywhere without protection. His blood turned to ice in his veins. He called Vincent urgently. "Find her now, sir." She took a car service straight to JFK Airport. The bottom dropped completely out of Dante's world. What? She booked a flight to Boston. Departs in 3 hours. Dante moved before conscious thought could catch up, throwing on clothes and grabbing his keys. Marco appeared in the doorway, already dressed and ready. "I'm coming with you." They didn't speak during the frantic drive. Dante's mind raced through horrifying possibilities, each worse than the last. She was running from him. She'd changed her mind completely. She'd realized what being with him truly meant and wanted no part of his dangerous life. Or someone had taken her against her will. That final thought made his hands tighten on the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. They reached JFK in record time, bypassing security with phone calls, bribes, and threats. Dante tracked Amara to the international terminal with ruthless efficiency. He found her sitting at the gate, head down, shoulders curved in obvious defeat. She looked up as he approached, her beautiful eyes red-rimmed from crying. "How did you find me so quickly? I always find you." Dante stopped a few feet away, afraid if he got closer he'd do something desperate. "Why are you leaving me?" "Because it's the right thing to do." "Explain that twisted logic." Amara stood, wrapping her arms protectively around herself. "Last night, I received a call from Vincent Castellano himself." Dante's entire body went completely still. "What did that bastard say to you?" "That the treaty only holds if I disappear permanently. That as long as I'm with you, you're dangerously vulnerable. That eventually someone will use me to destroy everything you've built." Her voice cracked with emotion. He was right, Dante. "I'm a weakness you truly can't afford. That's not his decision to make, but it is mine." She moved closer. Close enough to touch, but maintaining careful distance. "I love you. I think I've loved you since you first tried to scare me away. And because I love you so deeply, I can't be the reason you lose your entire empire. Everything I've built means absolutely nothing without you. Don't say that to me, it's the complete truth." Dante closed the distance between them, cupping her face gently in his strong hands. "You think I care about territory, power, reputation?" His thumb brushed away her falling tears tenderly. "I would burn it all to keep you safe. I would walk away from my entire empire if it meant you stayed with me." "You don't mean those words. I've never meant anything more in my life." He rested his forehead against hers intimately. "Don't you understand yet? You didn't make me weak. You made me human again. You gave me something worth protecting beyond duty and legacy. Vincent Castellano lied to manipulate you. The treaty holds regardless of whether you stay or leave. He just wanted to drive a wedge between us, wanted to prove he could make you run scared, and it almost worked perfectly." Amara searched his honest eyes carefully. "You're completely sure? I'm positive. And even if I wasn't certain, even if keeping you meant war with every family in New York, I would choose you. Every single time." He kissed her softly, pouring his soul into it. "Come home with me." "I'm scared," she whispered vulnerably. "Scared of being the reason you get hurt. Scared that one day you'll resent me for everything. The only thing that would make me resent you is watching you board that plane." He pulled back enough to meet her eyes directly. "I'm not asking you to be completely fearless. I'm asking you to be brave enough to stay, to trust that I know exactly what I'm doing, to believe you're worth fighting for." Around them, travelers moved obliviously through the busy terminal. An announcement echoed overhead about final boarding calls. Amara looked at the departure board, then back at Dante with hope dawning. "Okay," she said finally. "Okay, I'll stay with you." Relief hit him so powerfully he nearly staggered. Instead, he pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly like she might vanish. "Thank you." He breathed into her hair. "Thank you for choosing us." They didn't return to the penthouse immediately. Instead, Dante drove them to his private beach house on Long Island, a secluded property few people even knew existed. Somewhere they could finally breathe without Manhattan's underworld pressing down constantly. Amara stood on the expansive deck overlooking the crashing ocean waves, wrapped in one of his oversized sweaters against the wind. Dante came up behind her, arms encircling her waist possessively. "I used to come here after the accident," he said quietly, "when the physical pain became unbearable and I needed to remember the world existed beyond my failures. It's breathtakingly beautiful. So are you." He turned her gently to face him. "I need to tell you something important about Vincent's call." Her expression tensed slightly. "What about it? He didn't just call with threats. He sent you compromising photos." Dante pulled out his phone and showed her the images that made her gasp in shock. Pictures of them together at the clinic, at his penthouse windows. Intimate moments captured through high-powered telescopic lenses. He wanted you to see exactly how exposed you truly were, how easily he could reach you anytime. "Why are you showing me these now? Because I want you to understand completely what staying with me means. This won't be the last threat you'll face. There will be others who see you as leverage against me, others who believe hurting you will break me permanently." His strong hands framed her beautiful face tenderly. "I'm offering you a life that includes constant danger, armed guards everywhere, severely limited freedom, and I need you to choose it with completely open eyes." Amara studied the disturbing photos for a long moment. Then she took his phone decisively and deleted them one by one. "I choose you," she said simply, powerfully. "Danger and all of it. But I have conditions. Name them all. I keep working as a doctor. I won't live locked away like some helpless princess." "Agreed. But with professional security always. I won't lie to my family about who you are or what you do." That condition proved harder for him. "Your family will never accept our relationship. Then we'll face that together as a team. But I won't build us on layers of deception." Her steady gaze held his firmly. "Can you live with complete honesty?" Dante thought about his carefully constructed walls, his fearsome reputation, the iron mask he wore for the entire world. Amara demanded vulnerability beyond just the physical. "Yes," he said finally. "I can live with that truth. One more important thing." She stepped even closer. "When everything settles down completely, when we have real breathing room, I want you to meet that neurosurgeon in Boston. Not because I think you need fixing, but because you deserve every possible option, every chance at complete healing. And if the surgery doesn't work perfectly, then we deal with that reality together." She kissed him softly, sealing the promise. "I'm not going anywhere, Dante. Not ever again." The next week passed in cautious, fragile peace between them. Amara returned to work at a new clinic, one of Dante's legitimate medical businesses renovated with bank-level security. Vincent shadowed her everywhere now, a constant professional presence she learned to tolerate. David called twice during that time. Both times Amara remained completely honest with him. She was seeing someone seriously now. David expressed disappointment but remained gracious. They agreed to stay friends at a distance. Dante pretended the profound relief didn't show on his face. At night, they fell into comfortable rhythms that felt dangerously close to genuine domesticity. Cooking simple meals together in the penthouse kitchen, Amara reading her medical journals, while Dante reviewed business reports. Making love with increasing confidence as his body continued healing steadily. Nerve pathways reconnecting under her expert, loving care. "You're better than any surgeon I've ever known," he told her one breathless night. "I'm extremely motivated." She traced lazy patterns on his chest, very personally motivated, but their peace remained temporary. It always did in his world. The next threat emerged from an unexpected direction entirely. Dante's mother summoned them both to the family estate in the Hamptons on a sunny Saturday afternoon. Maria Russo sat in her formal receiving room with tea service perfectly arranged. Her expression remained completely unreadable. "Sit down, both of you." They sat obediently. Maria studied Amara with the intensity of a master jeweler examining a rare diamond for hidden flaws. "You're the woman my son nearly started a full war over." "Mother," Dante began cautiously, "I'm speaking now." She never took her piercing eyes off Amara. "Do you love him truly?" "Yes," Amara answered without a single moment's hesitation. "Why exactly?" The question aimed to expose shallow motivations like money, status, or power. Amara understood perfectly because he sees me completely. She answered simply, "Not as a conquest or trophy or miracle worker. He sees my strength and my fears, my confidence and my doubts. And he chose me anyway, knowing I would complicate his carefully controlled life immeasurably. And you see him as what exactly? A broken project you can fix. I see him as a man who built massive walls to survive, then dared to let me through them." Amara's voice remained perfectly steady. "I don't need to fix him at all. He was never as broken as he believed himself to be." Maria's expression softened almost imperceptibly. The Russo family carries heavy expectations and ancient traditions. My son's wife would need to uphold them all. Wife? Amara's eyes widened in surprise. Dante's hand found hers protectively under the table. "Mother, we haven't discussed marriage yet. Then discuss it immediately." Maria poured tea with precise, elegant movements. Because the Moretti family has made formal inquiries about a marriage alliance, their daughter proves accomplished, well-connected, and Italian. Everything tradition demands perfectly. Dante's jaw clenched visibly. "I'm not remotely interested in the Moretti daughter, but you're interested in a foreign doctor with no family connections, no legacy, no understanding of our complex world. It wasn't truly a question. Yes, why her specifically? Because she makes me want to become better than the man you raised me to be." Dante's voice carried quiet steel. "You forged me into a weapon. She reminds me I'm still human underneath." Heavy silence stretched across the room. Finally, Maria smiled genuinely, a real warm smile. "Good answer, son." She turned fully to Amara. "My late husband proved a monster. Brilliant, powerful, utterly without conscience. I married for duty, bore sons for legacy. Never once felt what you two clearly share." She sipped her tea thoughtfully. "I won't force him to repeat my mistakes. If you want her, Dante, then take her properly, publicly. Let every family know she's completely untouchable now." Dante exhaled with visible relief. "Thank you, Mother. Don't thank me prematurely." Maria's expression turned serious again. "The Moretti family won't accept rejection quietly. Others in our organization view tradition as sacred. You'll face real opposition. Let them oppose us." Dante's hand tightened on Amara's. "I'm done living for other people's expectations." That same evening, Dante took Amara to the rooftop of his tallest Manhattan skyscraper. New York City spread out below them like a glittering tapestry of light and endless shadow. "My mother speaks truth," he said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. "I should do this properly." Amara's breath caught sharply. "I've never believed in fairy tales," Dante continued, opening the box to reveal a stunning ring. A deep emerald surrounded by flawless diamonds. Unique and breathtaking. "I built my entire life on control and cold calculation. Love happened to weaker people. Then you walked into my hospital room and asked if you could try." His smile softened, vulnerable. "And you tested everything I believed. My control, my walls, my conviction that I remained too broken for love." He took her trembling hand gently. "Dr. Amara Okafor, you make me want to become the man you see when you look at me. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed freely down her beautiful face. "Yes. Yes, of course. Yes, Dante." He slid the ring onto her finger with shaking hands, then kissed her like she represented air itself. 2 years later, Dante and Amara stood together watching their daughter Sophia play on the private beach, the same Long Island property where he'd convinced her to stay. Dante had transitioned most operations to legitimate businesses, kept only what truly mattered for family security. Amara continued her medical practice successfully, always with discreet protection. Their love proved stronger than any threat, deeper than any scar. Dante watched Sophia laugh in the waves. Realizing his true empire wasn't territory or power, it became the family and unbreakable love he'd built with Amara. The end.